up? This is Nayan here from Barrack Solutions, and today I will be reviewing the Apple TV, and it is a device which allows you to wirelessly stream your video to the display to which your Apple TV is connected, or wirelessly stream your audio to the speaker to which your Apple TV is connected to. And guess what? This is just a preview screen of your Apple TV, actually my Apple TV, which is connected to my television, so you can just see that on the display. And now let's proceed with the full-fledged review of the Apple TV. The Apple TV is so small that it even fits in my pocket, and to give a comparison, the Apple TV is smaller in length than the Apple TV remote, and that is because the bigger length of Apple TV remote gives better grip when you hold it in the hand. But at the moment I would like to talk about the Apple TV, so let's proceed with the Apple TV. Here's the Apple TV, and to give another comparison, the Apple TV is just about the length of Raspberry Pi in the horizontal as well as the vertical direction. At the back we have got all the ports. The first port is the power port, the second port is the HDMI port, and right below it we have got the micro USB port, and then we have got the optical audio port, and finally the Ethernet port. All the sides of the Apple TV has a glossy finish, and in the front we have got a small white LED which will glow or blink every time you switch it on or press a button on the remote. One thing I didn't like about this glossy design is that it easily succumbs scratches when you're connecting a plug to the Apple TV, which is just not right, and you don't want that to happen, especially when you have just bought it. At the back we have got a rubber based back, which is very common with all the Apple accessories such as Apple AirPod Express or the Apple Time Capsule, etc. Coming back to the remote, here's the remote. It's got like 7 buttons. Out of that we have got a center button and 4 buttons to go left, right, up, down, and the menu button, which also acts as the back button in many cases when you're operating the Apple TV, and you've got a play pause button. And guess what? The buttons are amazing. It gives a good hard click, just giving a confirmation that the button has been pressed. And coming back to the length is good. It fits very well, but the aluminum design makes sure, or I would say ensures, that the remote will fall like many times from your hand. And to give a good idea of that, you can see the dents on the Apple TV remote, and I have like dropped my Apple TV remote like 3 times, and all the 3 times it's got dents on 3 different edges, which is disappointing. Let's talk about screen sharing on the Apple TV, and I'll be using different Apple products to demonstrate this feature. I'll be beginning with an iOS device and then with a MacBook Pro or a Mac Pro to demonstrate the same feature. There are certain wow things about the screen sharing with the Apple TV, and there are certain things which are very disappointing and you don't expect when you're spending so much just to buy a Apple TV, and you expect some class and quality with every Apple product, which they deliver with most of their products. But unfortunately there are certain disappointing features with screen sharing, but I'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the awesome aspects of Apple screen sharing. So there we have it. We have the iPhone 6 being mirrored on my television with the help of Apple TV. There is quite a bit of lag, but that is totally acceptable, especially when you're wirelessly streaming your video content on the television, especially when you're screen sharing it, because there's so many pixels, there's so much of data that has to be pushed. And one thing which I noticed was that Apple screen sharing, or I would say screen sharing on Apple TV, works well, and I would say very well, on the 5 GHz radio band of your Wi-Fi network, because it provides the right amount of bandwidth to push that much amount of data. I'll give you a demo of it with the help of Zen Garden, which is a kind of a game which was used to demonstrate the metal engine of your iPhone, and at the same time I will demonstrate the lag, and this lag will be very much visible in games because different scenes require different frames, and at times the frame rate increases immensely, and that time the lag is quite a lot and it's totally visible. So this is one of the scenes where the lag will be visible easily, because I'm trying to increase the number of frames. Now if we look at applications which natively support AirPlay such as YouTube, won't show lag. That's because they're optimizing the video for streaming on Apple AirPlay, and that's perfectly what you want when you're watching video. You don't want lags, and in video the frame rate will be same. At the moment, I am streaming the display of my Mac Pro wirelessly using Apple TV at 1080p resolution. At this resolution, less CPU intensive applications like internet, mail, etc. work very well. But when we switch to CPU intensive applications such as video players, the lag increases. Apple TV screen sharing from Apple desktops and Apple laptops at lossless quality, which is great. But this is the major reason for the lag in CPU intensive applications. Apple TV is just not able to cope up with the amount of data it receives in such situations. The sad part is that there is no option to optimize the quality. Scaling down the resolution helps to some extent, but it is not worth it. This is simply because you don't want to scale down to such an extent that the output is not watchable. The scenario with games is even worse. Games have variable frame rate, and when frame rate shoots up, Apple TV just freezes the display and you have to reconnect to Apple TV. It just does not optimize games like it does with iOS devices. Many a times, Apple TV just blacks out the display of Apple laptops with poor specifications. This is another thing which I just did not like, and I don't expect this from Apple TV. Streaming content from the iTunes store is pretty straightforward. Just purchase the movie or music you want and just play it. If it's a movie, then it will take at least like 25 minutes on a decent internet connection to start a 720p playback. I just talked about how screen sharing at lossless quality can be troublesome at times, but streaming your audio content at lossless quality is phenomenal, especially when you're using a digital output, and the Apple TV actually supports a digital output, so the output is going to be almost 3 times more than your analog output, which is just amazing. So just listen to the music for a few seconds and you can just make out how good it is. So that's how good the output is, and this is the best feature of Apple TV, and I think audio was one of the major reasons that I bought the Apple TV, especially audio with lossless quality and digital output. If you ask me, is the Apple TV good? Should I buy it? I would say it is phenomenal for audio, but for video, it's a dicey thing to buy. And that's simply because it streams every single video content at lossless quality, which is original quality, which is great, but it is not advisable to stream video content at lossless quality every single time. And that's simply because when the video resolution increases or when the video frame rate increases, the amount of data that needs to be sent wirelessly is just too much for Apple TV to handle. So it's a thumbs up for audio and a thumbs down for video. So if you want to buy it for the awesome audio quality, and buy it only if you have the cash to buy it. So that's it with this video, guys. I hope you liked it. Please rate, comment, subscribe and visit techbarrack.com.